this is maybe the most important news story of the day, and I'm sorry I'm just now getting to it. KDP has launched Endure, which is a new font, and they completely buried the lead when they mentioned this new font. So if you looked at their press release, they announced it on Earth Day as this like environmental thing. It's like, I don't know how many people celebrate Earth Day. I don't know anyone who celebrates Earth Day. I don't think people really care about that. And that's not the appeal of the Endure font. So I actually know the company behind the Endure font. I've met their CEO. It's a guy named Klaus who's from Denmark. And when I met him, he had this big white fluffy beard and this white hair. And after I talked with him for a little while, he's a really cool guy. I left that conversation being like, does Santa Claus work in a font company? And they're a great company. And what he was showing me was they've done a lot of innovation with really easily to read fonts that are more space efficient. And he had this entire Bible that was really thin because the fonts were more efficient. And they have now sold one of these more efficient fonts to Amazon, which you as an indie author can use for free. It's called the Endure font. You can get it from KDP print, and it reduces the number of pages that are required to make your book by 20% compared to standard fonts. So if your book is 400 pages, with the Endure font, it would only be 320 pages. If your book was 300 pages, with the Endure font, it would only be 240 pages. And that's without changing margins. That's without going to a larger print size. And for print on demand, which most indie authors do, the sweet spot where you're making the most money per book is between 200 and 250 books. And most print on demand indie authors, their books are longer than that. And what that does is you pay basically per page for your print book, but the amount more that you pay and the amount more that readers pay don't sync up. So where they're optimized between 200 and 250. So if you can move your 300 page book down to a 240 page book, you can dramatically reduce your profitability, cut your cost per book by as much as $1 or so. I didn't do the math, but I think it's about $1 worth of cost per book. So you were making, let's say, $3 a book, and now you're making $4 a book, or you were making $2 a book, and now you're making $3 a book. That could be the difference between profitable and not profitable, that margin. And it's all powered by this font that you can get for free. It's from the 2K Denmark company is the ones who made it, but Amazon purchased it from them and made it free. I'm really excited about this. I'm curious if you test it out. We'll have links to this in the blog version of this episode, which is another piece of news, actually. We are experimenting with taking the transcripts from these episodes and running them through AI to make blog versions. So Brian says, but Thomas, if you're on Kindle Unlimited, you want the font that creates more pages because Amazon says pays by page reads. You can have, as far as I know, you can have a different font in your Kindle book as you can in the paper book. And I think the font in the Kindle book is selected by the reader. And I don't think page reads are affected by font. But I could be wrong about this. But this is definitely a print book product. I wouldn't use this font on your Kindle. Use the default font on the Kindle. And Jana says, of course, I admit I like money too. Yeah, who doesn't like making money? This should have been the lead story. And nobody was talking about it because it seemed like a corporate puff piece about Earth Day, and nobody cares about Earth Day. It's like, no, this is indie authors making an extra $1 per copy. Also, there's some other tricks that you can do to get your page count into that 200 to 250 range. One is moving from moving to 6:9 format. So the other one is 5.5 by 8.5. Those are like the two common formats in the United States. And the print cost for those formats is basically the same. So you get an extra inch of page at 6:9, but which allows you to get more words on each page or have bigger margins or what have you, and it's no additional cost. So if you write epic fantasy, you need to be making your books 6:9. If your books run short, I recommend 5.5 by 8.5. So my one book that I wrote, I write short, focused books, and I knew this one was going to be short, so I made it 8.5 by 5.5 because I wanted to hit that 200 to 250 page count, because you also don't want to be below 200 or people will start expecting a discount on the book. So ZY Swanson says, does font matter that much? It absolutely does. In fact, it was talking with Klaus, who's totally not Santa Claus. I was at a conference for industry people, and we talked for like 20 minutes, and he was showing me all kinds of stuff. And there's a whole world of fonts that I had interacted with working with designers and web design and graphic design. There's a whole language of like how fonts make you feel, but it's shockingly impressive what a difference a efficient font can make in terms of words on the page. It really does. It really can make that much of a difference. Now, I haven't actually looked at any books written in this font, and so they claim that it's very legible. And I will say the books that I saw in person by 2K Denmark were very legible, but that is a question, because if you have to boost the font size a little bit, then you may lose some of that savings.